Hi, I'm Emma, Environment Specialist at Ecochain, and I'm going to show you how to find the right reference for your transport modeling. Finding a reference can always be a bit overwhelming because there are so many options. In this video I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to find the right transport reference relatively easily. This video follows on a video on how to model transport, so if you don't know yet how to model transport and how you calculate ton kilometers, then I suggest you watch that video first. We're now going to go to the product that I actually already modeled the transport for, which is this product. Here we see a sub-item for the cotton fabric that is in this t-shirt, where I modeled the transport that this fabric is undergoing. So it's coming from somewhere, from a factory, there they made it, and now it's coming to my factory. This is happening with some sea transport by a container ship and some truck transport. That is for the last mile to get it to my factory and also to get it to the harbor where it's transported with the container ship. Like I said in the previous video, we already calculated the ton kilometers that we needed to fill out. Now I'm going to add the reference for these transportation trips. And we're going to start with the sea transport. So I'm going to click on add impact, just like any regular reference search. And to narrow down the results, I will first select the right database, which is Ecoinvent 3.6. What we're going to do now is narrow down the results a little bit. The first thing that you can do to find your transport references is fill out the word transport. So that already narrows down to all the transport references. But you see that those are really a lot still, because it still says that there are 1,000 references found. So that doesn't really help. What I can then do is type in freight. There are also a number of references that are about the transport of persons, for example by train or by car. That is about transporting a person, but we're looking at freight transportation references. Well, that narrows it down a little bit, but we still have 867 options, still quite a lot. The third thing you can do to narrow down the results is if you're transporting either over sea or by air, for example. Well, what I can do is type in sea. And now let's see what I can find. So I think it's a container ship. Let's see. So we have two options. Sea transport is obviously not within one country or one continent because it's going worldwide. So that's why you only have global processes for sea transport, and the same holds for air transport in general. This is a different story for truck transport though, or train for example, because that often happens within one continent. So there you have different regions. Now I can pick either this one, for example. It's happening in a regular container ship, so no freezing or cooling. Or this one, the market for transport freight sea container ship. In this case it doesn't really matter, so I will add this one. Then we have the second one that we have to find a reference for, which is truck transport. So we're going to add impact again. Select the database that we want to use, Ecoinvent 3.6. Then type in transport, freight, truck. Does that get us anywhere? Kind of does, but what we can see here is that actually the word used for truck in Ecoinvent, and this is just something you have to get to know, is lorry. So I have to search for lorry. And then the question is a few things actually. There are a lot of different types of lorries. So you have small lorries, you have big lorries, it's all different. There are some standard sizes. The question is, do you know the size of the lorry? Do you know what kind of engine standard is maintained? For example, these can be Euro standards in Europe. And do you know the region in which it is transported? In this case, we don't know any of them. So what we can do is market transport freight lorry. And then we can look for the market. For transport, you have also some market references. And we can say unspecified, which means that we just don't know. And then here we already have one, so that's the market for transport freight lorry unspecified. But that one is in South Africa. That's not where we want it to be. So we would like to have global. Our fabric is first transported by lorry to the harbor from which it is transported by container ship, and then transported by lorry again to our own factory. And I modeled this in both in the same item, so I need to select a reference that represents both, which is why I'm now going to use the global market group for transport freight lorry unspecified. So I can add this reference. Now we have added both of our transport references. To sum up, there are three ways to narrow down your transport references. First off, you want to type transport freight and of course select the right database version. Secondly, you can also type in sea or air transport in case this is applicable and narrow down your search results that way. And thirdly, if you're using land transport, for example by lorry, for lorry specifically, there's difference in size, in Euro standard, and in region. So you can play with these three factors, or if you don't know any of this, then you can just type in unspecified and look for the market for unspecified transport by lorry. Good luck with modeling your own transport in Mobius. Thank you for watching this video, and in case you have any more questions about this topic, look up our help center or get in touch with us.